I've been in finance for about 30 years, actually, and started my career at Goldman Sachs, which is a swear word these days, I know. And yet, it wasn't necessarily always that way. And the man who was the senior partner when I started at Goldman Sachs in 1985 was a fellow by the name of John Weinberg. And he was a very accomplished financier over the years, but a very humble man. And he really was hoping that his influence would help the folks who were joining the firm at the time and maybe set us straight. So when I joined, he sat us all down, and there was 40 or 50 of us in a room. All of us were MBAs. All of us thought we were pretty smart and clever. He said, I just want to tell you a story about the history of investment banking. And he said, and actually sort of when I started, or around the time he started, he said, in 1940, let me just give you a context of investment bankers. And he said, in 1940, when it was clear that the United States was going to enter the Second World War, the United States did not have a draft at the time. And so it was clear that the United States needed to think through how that might happen. And so the folks who were going to organize the draft said, well, let's think about society, and let's think about the people who are most important, who contribute the most to society, and the people who contribute the least to society. And the idea of ranking different professions would be that obviously if you were very important to society, teachers say, you would be drafted as late as possible, or not at all. Doctors would be another example. And if you were less important or least important to society, you would be drafted right away. So the United States prioritized at that time professions, and again, you could imagine that doctors and teachers were first, and then, of course, the folks who were least important to society. So in 1940, the profession that was considered the least important profession to the United States society were florists. So if you were a male florist, you might as well sign up because you are going to be drafted immediately. In 1940, the second least important profession to society were investment bankers. Now, I'm quite convinced that if the United States or the United Kingdom were to institute a draft today, the florists would be safe. But I bring us back to today because many of us who will be speaking either are working in finance or have worked in investment banking. And the reason why I talk about this is that there are a number of tools that can be really quite important in finance and capital markets, and it is clearly true that over the last number of years, and even as we speak, maybe we're not deploying finance in the ways that we ought to, and we clearly need to change that. But there are skills, there are ways to think about markets that we can mobilize, and particularly we can mobilize for the social sector, the third sector. And the reason why I got involved in social finance and actually sustainable capitalism is I've come to the realization, maybe late, maybe you all have come to the realization a lot more quickly than I, but that the challenges we face today as societies in the United Kingdom and around the world are huge. Whether the challenges be climate change, whether the challenges be development, whether it be poverty, whether it be health, demographics, there are a huge number of challenges. Reoffending is what we'll talk about here in a little while. The point is that they're very, very large. And what's also clear today is that government and philanthropy, charities, do not have enough money to address these challenges. And these challenges are getting more complicated, they're getting more interconnected, and therefore we need a new approach to augment and to be part of the solution to these challenges. And this is where social finance, we hope, can begin to step in and be of some assistance. What we're trying to do, as the video talked about, is bring capital markets and financial techniques into the social sector to raise more capital. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is leverage the philanthropic capital as well as the energy of the social entrepreneurs with the guidance of government and the participation of government, and basically take what is today something in the order of £4 billion to £5 billion. What we're trying to do is leverage that into 10, 20, 30 or more billion pounds to address the challenges here in the UK, and then obviously similar types of ideas around the world. So what we're trying to do, as I said, is to be part of a new way to think about the challenges, recognizing that the challenges we face are significant. It's not going to be easy. The first social impact bond that we have raised was £5 million. There was a huge amount of work involved in it, and we're just in the very earliest days of developing this marketplace. There is a lot more work that needs to be done. We need to do a better job convincing the social entrepreneurs and the practitioners that this is a good idea. We need to do a better job working with government and commissioners to help them think through what the outcomes can be and the challenges associated with that. And we need to do a better job with investors to help them think through the process of measuring impact, to compare different other opportunities, and to find a way and create a language that they can use in their own investment committees, and to get a sense of what is appropriate, what's not appropriate, depending upon their fiduciary responsibility. So we're in the first days of what will be an exciting but important and difficult series of conversations, which again is why I hearken back to say today is really an opportunity for us to talk, to connect, and to debate, and hopefully, as we have in 2 other sessions in the last couple of weeks, begin a dialogue.